Welcome, my name is Matt, aka Road Jet 88. We're getting into Star Wars, guys, of heroes, mods, Qui-Gon Ginn, and the SWGOH.GG had them categorized by name differently than the end-game. This is my second take because I had to double check myself. This is literally take two. I had to back out, make sure there wasn't another Qui-Gon I was missing. Didn't see that I was. But, okay. Either I'm getting ahead of myself alphabetically or I'm backtracking because I just unlocked them. But this is Qui-Gon Ginn. He does go as far back as Star Wars Jedi Apprentice. After he was ready to be Jedi Master, he follows the Jedi family tree, if you will, of Yoda, who fathered Count Dooku, or Jedi Master fathered Count Dooku, Count Dooku to Qui-Gon Jinn, and Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan to Anakin Skywalker. That's kind of the Jedi family tree there, if you will. And he did actually, okay. So he starts off in Jedi Apprentice, and originally he did not actually want a Jedi Padawan at all. He did not want a Padawan. But Obi-Wan, as part of the code to the Jedi Order, okay, one, they take them in, they have to be taken in just after they've been weaned from their mothers. From that point, because they don't want there to be any attachment. Growing up, it could play effects against their ability to mediate in situations whenever they grow older as Jedis. They want them to be neutral in whatever missions they would go out on. Jedis are viewed kind of a cross-mix of like monks in just local police force situation. They were never meant supposed to be like either a preacher or warriors, wartime, fighters or anything like that. Palpatine created a war situation that kind of misappropriated their purpose. They were more or less just supposed to be mediators for conflicts throughout the galaxy. That's essentially what they were. They were like a cross-blend, balanced mix. Monks and local police force kind of blended together, kind of a balance of those two. Jedi Apprentice, Yoda had to push Obi-Wan onto Qui-Gon because after a certain point of training as a youngling in the Jedi Temple, eventually, or the Jedi Academy, eventually you have to pick up a master by a certain age. And this book, the first book, explains this. He was about to be kicked out of the Jedi Order because he was at an age he was supposed to have a master and he did not. They actually extended his chance to stay a little longer. They allowed him to stay longer than he should have. He should have already been kicked out, in fact. But because he was good as a student, they believed in his potential. He just didn't have a master. It was about to get him in trouble. It was about to get him expelled from the Jedi Order. And Qui-Gon didn't have a Padawan. He didn't want one. Yoda didn't care. He pushed Obi-Wan onto Qui-Gon. So Jedi Apprentice is Qui-Gon taking Obi-Wan under his wings and training him. We get to see him. The last book of the Jedi Apprentice does go kind of. It ends off with them going into episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace. Qui-Gon ends up getting killed, but he came across meeting Anakin Skywalker. He wanted to train him. He believed he was a balance for the Force. It was one of the many things that kind of frustrated about the Jedi Order about Qui-Gon, because he could have been a part of the council had he not contested them so much. Now, his master, Count Dooku, we know, contested the Jedi Order quite a bit. And, of course, he went to the extremists of becoming a separatist leader And as far as the Sith Lord, I don't. There has been suggested theory that maybe Qui-Gon could have done the same. Even Count Dooku suggested it himself in Attack of the Clones. Um, but I think Obi-Wan knew Qui-Gon well enough to know that while he saw problems with the Jedi Order, he might have had a bit of an extremist to him. I'm with Obi-Wan. I don't see Qui-Gon having gone so far to snap over the Sith side. He could probably at most, if he were to still been alive, I would imagine he would have gone unaligned Force direction, kind of like Ahsoka does. I can almost see that. As probably at most for Qui-Gon, if had he still been alive and saw the Clone Wars start and kind of saw the direction of everything, where everything was going. I can almost see him and Ahsoka doing the same thing together, almost. And Ahsoka would be a part of that Jedi family tree too, because Anakin trains Ahsoka. Additionally, in Attack of the Clones, Count Dooku made a mention, or actually we gotta start with the Kaminoans. They made a mention about who signed for the clone armies. It was Jedi Master Sapadius. If you go to Disney's Tales of the Jedi Order, I think, or Tales of the Separatists, something. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But there is one episode where Count Dooku is seen going into the Jedi Temple library holocron, or for the Star Chart and all that stuff, just tampering with their library. And when the Kaminoans mentioned to Obi-Wan that this order was signed by Jedi Master Sapadius, Disney has suggested that it was someone totally different. But if you read Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan knew Jedi Master Sapadius as the signature name for Qui-Gon Jinn, his own master. Count Dooku, it is suggested that Count Dooku forged the signature of the clone army under Qui-Gon's Jedi Master name, which would have been Sapadius. That's what the book suggests. Disney has tried suggesting that it was someone completely different. But we also have to remember, they don't know how to read. They do a lot of screenwriting, but look at their sequel trilogy. It was evidence. Their sequel trilogy is back-to-back constant proof that they do not know how to read a single book. So, but, yeah, Attack of the Clones, Qui-Gon is dead, but we're getting name drops of him. We're kind of finding out, we're kind of getting suggested that his own master betrayed him while he was out dealing with the Trade Federation of Naboo, who Count Dooku's new Sith Lord Master was trying to spark. Trying to get things rolling and going for the Clone Wars that he was preparing for. He talks to Obi-Wan about how Qui-Gon would probably go his direction if he saw things the way he did. But yet at the same time, he forged his own Padawan's name onto something, according to what the book suggests. Then, of course, additionally, we do actually get Qui-Gon showing up in Attack of the Clones. When Anakin is slaughtering the Tusken Raider tribe encampment, after he found his mother and his mother dies, Qui-Gon does actually break through the Force ability, trying to yell out to Anakin, trying to get his attention. The book is a lot more emphasized about it than the movie was, actually. Like, he was literally trying to call out to Anakin. Like, he understood Anakin's pain. He felt the pain through the Force, as a Force ghost, wherever he was. And he was trying to get Anakin to hit the brakes. Now, in the movie, you just simply hear his voice. But, he was trying to reach out to Anakin in the book. But from that point, all we get, when we go into Revenge of the Sith and kind of throughout we don't really get much info on him in the Clone Wars until maybe a little bit later when he reaches out to Yoda. But when we get into after the Clone Wars TV series, where he does present himself as Force Ghost to Yoda, kind of helps draw Yoda to some perspective of how things are going to play out and stuff. He only gets name dropped in Revenge of the Sith. Now we do get to see the Force Ghost spirit of him in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series, but in retrospect, he is never mentioned in anything of the George Lucas era from A New Hope past that point. And of course, probably at that time, George Lucas probably didn't really have a Jedi Master name for Obi-Wan's master. He probably didn't have all that kind of figured out at that time, because he wrote A New Hope back in the 70s. The Revenge of the Sith was that came out in before 2007, something like that. I'm trying to remember. I was in high school. I think I was in junior high or high school whenever it came out. But, yeah, or whenever Revenge of the Sith came out, I was 10 years old. 9 or 10. I think I was 9 years old. Oh, wait. Phantom Menace came out in 1999. That would put me at 11. So, yeah, I was 11 years old whenever Phantom Menace came out. Qui-Gon Ginn was introduced. So, yeah, that would have put me at 9 or 11. That would have put me at 11 years old whenever Phantom Menace came out, because it came out in 99. So, yeah, really, if anything, Qui-Gon Jinn has always been just a sequel trilogy-based character, more or less. But prequel trilogy era, not sequel. But he is still the George Lucas era generation of Star Wars. So back to badass Liam Neeson. Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah, I actually, outside of Star Wars, if there's anything I am a big fan of outside of Star Wars, I actually am a huge fan of Liam Neeson's work. Man, he's got some awesome films. Even in his independent films, and a lot of times independent films can be kind of crappy, depending on who the actors are. Now, I'm not saying that all of his films are the best, but even if they are poorly story written, Liam Neeson is just one of those actors that can still take a bad written story and still put a good performance. And Taken 3, they should have stopped at Taken 2 where it was, or gone a different direction with Taken 3. But as bad of a story writing as Taken 3 was, what made it bad had nothing to do with his performance. His performance was good. It was just a story, It was a story writing. He's one of those actors. He can take a bad story and still give a good performance. But that aside, back to Qui-Gon Jinn. Anyways, Qui-Gon Jinn, his mods. So if you go to my first video playlist, or my mods video playlist, the first video, I definitively explain the various different types of character roles, like support, attackers, tanks, healers, and the various different types of mods. SWGOH.GG recommended modding Qui-Gon Jinn, who is a support character with speed and health. The in-game is recommending speed and critical chance. Well, he's a support character, leader, Galactic Republic, Jedi Vanguard, and Order 66, which, how the hell, he wasn't even alive then. That's a goof on this game. The EA Games made a mistake there. He was not alive by then. He was just there, maybe in Force Spirit, but at most. So, physical damage. Well, I'm seeing elements for critical damage. Oops. Special damage to enemies. Well, that's almost like critical chance right there. Did I just click on the same one twice? Yeah. No. So he's got two different special abilities that kind of don't do much different. Potency could coincide for this one. And yeah, I'm seeing the speed, offense. Speed and offense could be a mod possibility. No, it's not actually. No, it could not, because offense I think requires 4 mods to activate, and so does speed. So no, we'd have to have a 4 and 2 or 2, 2 and 2. But speed and critical chance, that is a possibility, and I did see evidence that speed and critical chances in the abilities is a possibility. Didn't really see much towards the health, but it's not necessarily a problem for support characters. It just amplifies what he's doing as a support character, especially if he's in a leader role. But speed and potency could be another possibility. So there's kind of 3 options you could take into consideration and kind of test around with. So speed and health, speed and potency, speed and critical chance. With the speed and critical chance and speed and potency direction, you're kind of making him more of a support attacker. With speed and health, or if you want to do a speed and tenacity, that would make it more like a tank supporter in that direction. So a tank character is more or less, a tank is not the vehicle. It's what it's doing. It's protecting what's within inside. And a tank character is going to protect the squad members within inside his squad. A support character who is especially going to be a leader, he's going to want to protect the squad, right? So, he has that obligation. So, speed and health isn't bad. Speed and tenacity. Tenacity means not easily torn apart. It gives him the ability to kind of stand between his squad members and the opponents with that tenacity. He can take the hits for his squad members, like a tank could do. So, if you want to amplify what he's doing, just purely from the support direction, defensively, speed and health, speed and tenacity are 2 options. If you want to make him a support attacker, then speed and potency, or speed and critical chance are 2 options. So just gotta play around, see how it feels to you. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below. That was Qui-Gon Jinn's mods for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Thank you for following, and may the Force be with you.